if anyone actually wants to take any notes, then we have to. I've uploaded this presentation on my account, slideshare.net. It's slideshare.net/TJMahar1. You'll see that link again at the end of the talk. See, before I begin to talk about myself and my interviewing experience this past summer, by show of hands, are there any people who are not a software tester or a QA engineer? Okay, good. Yeah, I've provided this talk. Yeah, I'll make sure to cover a bit about like what a QA person is. The manual testers, by show of hands, who's trying to switch over to automation? Okay, cool. Just for them, are there any actual recruiters for manual testers? Or anyone who's actually like a hiring manager here? Just like, okay, good. Are you hiring for manual testers?
Automation.
Automation, okay. Yeah, no, the problem is that like I've been seeing in the software industry that nobody's really hiring for manual testers anymore. They're all looking for automation development, which is a shame, but that's just how the industry is now. Okay, let's see. How many people are automation developers? Have you job searched recently? Okay, yeah, the interview process, it changed a lot in the past 2 years. I'm going to cover that too. Okay. Manual, automation, software developers? Okay, cool, we can start now. Yeah, good evening, I'm TJ Mahar. Even though I've been in the software industry for the past 20 years, I just started getting involved with Selenium WebDriver fairly recently. Around 3 years ago, I started taking a few courses in Selenium WebDriver with Java. Last year, in March 2015, I went from executing other people's automated tests at one job to writing my own tests in another. I captured my adventures in automation in my blog at tjmahar.com. This year I've been turning my blog post into articles. When I found myself this summer suddenly needing to find a job after a shift in managers raised the bar a bit too high for me. This time around I found the interview process remarkably changed in just the past 2 years. I wrote about that experience too. I published an article in Tech Beacon, how to pass a coding interview as an automation developer. Conrad saw it, liked it, and he invited me to give my first ever talk. Like, I've done talks before, but mostly as just like small little internal company-wide things. So this is my first time actually speaking in public to a larger audience. Like, if you want to really be getting the senior level of say software testing or development, you really need to learn how to do that. So it's always good to like if anyone has any talks, please see Conrad after this meeting. He's always looking for speakers. Okay. Cursor on this? Hold on a second. Cursor is not behaving. Okay. Yeah, I also want to apologize for my heavy use of notes during this talk. I just started a new job last Monday. The time I was going to spend to memorize this talk went into running the ropes of the new job. I'm now a software engineer in test. It's weird. For the first time in 20 years, I don't have the words QA in my title. Okay. As a QA engineer, I am an end-user advocate. I don't just do software testing. I shepherd the quality process. I try to build a model of the customer that's using the product and carry that model throughout the entire software development lifecycle. As with any job, there are fun parts and there's not so fun parts. Okay, the fun part for me is, okay, wait, so the slides are not working. Okay, the fun parts for me is testing the brand new functionality the developers are creating. Developers and testers, they shouldn't work like being an artist to an art critic. It should be more like a writer to a copy editor. Separate disciplines working together to make a quality product. I test the software requirements, the acceptance criteria, the software development process, the software itself, and my own assumptions about the product and how it's supposed to work. Okay, finding bugs is fun too. Don't tell the developers that. There's also not so fun parts of my job. 2 words, regression testing. Making sure that the new feature built did not break the old functionality. There's nothing more boring than testing the same exact workflow in IE8, IE9, IE10, IE11, Microsoft Edge, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, the Mac, you get the picture. Yeah, automation development, it makes regression testing fun again. You're writing software to test software. That's what I've been doing as an automation developer the past 2 years. I've been using Selenium WebDriver to emulate a user navigating through the web application, or testing at the web services layer, such as what the browser interacts with. Okay, when I found myself unexpectedly job searching for a new automation development position, judging by what I experienced 2 years ago, I thought the technical portion of the interview could go one of 2 ways. Assumption number 1, the technical interview would be based around my automation experience. Assumption number 2, I'd walk into a room, I'd find a laptop pre-installed with IntelliJ or Eclipse, I'd be directed to a web page and asked to automate it. Or I'd be directed to a whiteboard and I'd be asked to write code to say, log into a login page, using send keys, basically fill out like a login page. Those were the interview questions I was asked 2 years ago. This time around, it was something completely different. After chatting a bit, giving my background on the interview, a developer instructed me to go to the whiteboard and answer the following questions. Using your favorite programming language, write a method that checks to see if a given word is a palindrome. Example palindromes, noon and race car. I must have stared at the whiteboard for a good 2 minutes while the developers watched silently. They waited for me to do anything. I scribbled something on the board. I'm not really sure what. I stopped, I erased what I'd written, I wrote something else. I just didn't know how to answer this question. I'm sorry, as an automation developer, not many palindrome questions. Not really. I was completely unprepared. After getting only through half the assigned problem, I joked with the interviewers. If only this was, if I was coding an automated test, I'd be doing better. Yes, I've been doing Java coding, but I only focused on how it manipulated Selenium WebDriver. If only I had a laptop in front of me loaded with IntelliJ, or if I had been demoing an automated script I had written. Their response: all employees are expected to meet a certain minimum standard of coding knowledge, even for quality assurance positions. And that, my friends, is how I started my job search. It seems that I stumbled on a new requirement. These type of whiteboard coding tests were asked in 10 out of 12 jobs I interviewed this past summer. Okay, let's say you have a beginning level job translating English to Spanish, using an English to Spanish dictionary and a phrasebook close at hand. If you had the dictionary and the phrasebook taken away, and were suddenly asked during an interview to go to a whiteboard and write a paragraph on what you had for breakfast that morning, it would be pretty difficult. That is what it felt like with the development environment IntelliJ and the Java documentation taken away from me. I expected automation development questions. What was asked were software development questions. How would I reverse a string? How would I find a number was divisible by a certain number? Okay, why was this? It might seem a bit naive to any software developers in the room, but I actually found it astounding that automation developers are software developers. Yeah, you see, just 5 years ago, a QA engineer wouldn't be expected to know how to code at all. 3 years ago, automation developers were manual testers who were just learning to assemble automated tests. Now, They were straddling between being a QA engineer and a software engineer. Companies are now looking for the same code quality in the automated test framework as the software application itself. Okay, so that leads to the next chapter, how to become fluent in coding. That's the question, isn't it? How do we become fluent in coding? Step one, you take a refresher course. Members of the Boston Public Library, they get a free subscription to lynda.com. There are massively open online courses such as MOOC.org. It indexes absolutely free edX courses from Harvard, MIT, other colleges dealing with computer science and Java. There's Coursera by Duke, Stanford, Hopkins University. And there's Udacity. It's backed by Google, AT&T, and Amazon. They also have free courses in Java, JavaScript, etc. With those courses, you learn by actually creating projects. So you're actually getting hands-on experience that you can show. As I was talking to someone before this talk, it helps if you're going on an interview, if you can demonstrate something, if you can actually show something, such as like on a GitHub account. If you've never heard of it, go to github.com, register for an account. They will walk you. They will like have hand-holding directions to walk you through actually uploading your own code from your own machine. It's good to actually start building up a online portfolio. Like any artist, if you wanted to go for a graphic artist job, they'd say, "Show me your artwork." That's the state of the automation development now. People are asking, "Show me your code." It's all about the code. Okay. Step two, become fluent in programming. Read the documentation. If you're learning Java, Java has official learning trails with chapters such as getting started, learning the Java language, and essential Java classes. If you're learning JavaScript, there's free online books such as Speaking JavaScript. Other resources that I have are also listed on my blog at tjmahar.com. If you're let's say step three for being fluent in programming, solve coding problems on paper. Make up simple homework assignments and solve them on paper while reading the documentation. Don't do cram sessions. You want to work this knowledge into your long-term memory. You want to build it up over time. Sample homework examples, like you can keep them simple. Draft functions to do mathematical operations or string comparisons, like what we do in automated testing. I have a couple of sample homework problems that can get you started. You can look at this later on the slide deck, such as sketch out on paper a function that uses a for loop that prints in the range of 1 to 100, all even numbers, odd numbers, numbers divisible by 3, or string manipulation, like trying to figure out take a string, find the length of that string as an integer, try to find the first character, the last character, do some simple string comparisons, and they'll become like simple building blocks you learn on. Okay, during the coding interview. Here's what I realized when I went on the first coding interview. The two stone-faced developers observing me having a brain freeze and getting flustered in front of the whiteboard, much like I'm doing right now, getting flustered. They weren't silently watching. They were waiting. They were waiting for me. They were waiting for me to define the problem. Take a moment on the coding interview to think of what information you need from the interviewer to solve this problem. They're asking, do candidates immediately jump into the code, possibly not realizing that the specs are unclear, or do they take a step back, examine the problem, and gather the requirements? If you remember, the question that I was given to me was write a method that checks to see if a given word is a palindrome. What is the first question that I should have asked? Yes?
Does your language have a reverse?
That would be a second question. The first question is, what's a palindrome? No, seriously, that would be the first question, because according to their example, they weren't doing the English language palindrome. They were looking for they were looking for examining a string character by character. So white space counted in their definition, commas counted in their definition. If I hadn't asked, like, I think it was like during my third interview or fourth interview, this question came up again. If I hadn't asked them about stuff like that and about these parameters, I would have solved something completely incorrect. They actually replied that looking for a string and its reverse to match exactly. Also, your solution should be case sensitive. An uppercase R should not match a lowercase r. Okay, that's the first part, defining the problem. Second part, start with the initial test cases. Do candidates come with enough edge cases to test their code? How thorough are they? If palindromes are matched character by character, space by space, noon and race car, actually, like, that probably would be incorrect because actually that's capital N. So I've seen that now. Okay, noon and race car would be wrong, but if they were lowercase, they would pass. Madam, I'm Adam. A plan, a man, a plan, a canal, Panama. Very famous English palindromes, they would not pass. But simple strings, simple character strings like the letter A, that would pass. And I asked them, and they said empty strings would also pass. So that's what they wanted me to ask them before I actually started coding. Number three, they wanted me to walk the interviewer through the solution. They wanted to see if I could do that with them. They were thinking, does the candidate sketch out the problem, talking out loud so the interviewer can get a sense of the candidate's thoughts on solving the problem? Number four, now you jump into the code, you come up with the solution. Can the candidate write clear and concise code? Number five, debug and test your code. Does the candidate accept feedback gracefully when they make any changes or last-minute parameter changes? Okay. Just to sum up, gaining basic fluency in a programming language and being able to demonstrate it will not happen overnight, but it can happen. Here's how to proceed. Find basic coding problems on the web. Attempt to solve them with pen and paper. If you can't solve them, look at the official documentation of the programming language and see which built-in language methods will help you out. Come up with your own solution first before seeking out a better solution elsewhere. If you do your own research and investigation, chances are the information will stick in your mind permanently. Don't do cram sessions. They merely store the information in your short-term memory. Practice a little bit at a time, maybe 15 minutes a day or a half hour or so. If you can only do like 15-minute sessions, that's fine. Half-hour session is fine. You want this information to move to long-term memory so you can recall information even under extreme interview stress. Okay, the main takeaway is this. Don't go through all this effort to pass a whiteboard test. Aim higher. Make your goal to be a better programmer. Thank you. One more slide. If you want, I've included two solutions of the palindrome problem. My first attempt. I actually had it like this while loop. It's very English languagey. I thought it was like good for readability. A senior developer, a friend of mine, looked at this and was like, this is silly. Do it like a for loop. So I did it like a for loop. If you want further reading about coding interviews, Gail Lockman McDowell has a book, Cracking the Code Interview. There's a famous article, Get That Job on Google, another one saying Get That Job on Facebook, and I have links to practice questions. These slides, this whole slide deck is on my SlideShare account at slideshare.net/TJMahar1. Okay, thank you.